Welcome to 7th House Astrology Podcast. I'm Heather, and I'm here to talk about the messy, beautiful, and sometimes exhausting world of relationships. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Sorry for the week delay. I had midterms, and I thought I had time, but unfortunately, math got a hold of me and sucked up every second of my days. Math. I try so hard. I hope I did pretty good. Only one can tell. So this past last week and moving into this week might have feel a tad bit hard, especially in the areas of our relationships, because on Friday, April 3rd at 3:38 p.m., Venus in Taurus did square Pluto in Aquarius at 5 degrees and 16 minutes. This transit, can be, possibly can bring up some old wound stuff of self-worth and value, or possibly money struggles as well. In relationships, this transit can bring up some power and control issues. This can also bring up painful repressed memories. Since it's Pluto is repression. And since Venus just passed Chiron in Aries, she can still be carrying some of that energy. Just know Venus is in her home sign and she has great power in Taurus. Grounding yourself this weekend or the past weekend and even into this week coming up, starting April 6th would be a good day to start really. Grounding yourself this weekend and even into next week will help as Venus will move on. On April 6th at 3:22, the Sun in Aries will square Jupiter in Cancer at 16 degrees. This is an excellent transit and one that may have you feeling like you have a ton of energy, and there may be abundance of it. This transit may have you feeling really great about yourself, the Sun in Aries, and time with family, Jupiter in Cancer. No coincidence, this transit is happening right after, it actually was at 15 degrees yesterday, but it's no coincidence that this was happening during Easter time, where people were gathering with their families and having family feast. Cancer, celebrating their religious beliefs, Jupiter. One issue that may come up this week, especially in that conjunction, is a little bit of indulgence. Watch out for eating too much or drinking. If you enjoy a drink with your family, possibly have 2 margaritas instead of 5, maybe 2 beers instead of a 6-pack. Watch out for ego flare-ups, as this transit can ignite this energy as well. Take responsibility, Saturn in Aries, for yourself in Aries. And how will you take responsibility in the actions is what the universe is asking from you. The other big transit of the week is on April 9th. Mars will move into Aries. So this is pretty big because Mars rules Aries and will be entering his home sign. Once there, Mars is in full throttle, baby. Things are going to start taking off really fast. It is going to be conjuncting some pretty big points here, but, one thing to remember is that Mars will be transiting over that 0 degrees point where Saturn and Neptune began their journey. Once Mars enters Aries, it will ignite not 1, but 4 other planets, which actually Mercury's going to be following behind Mars. So we may even start feeling this on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, maybe more Tuesday and Wednesday. Mars transits tend to come in a little early, so we might start getting that energetic, boost of energy going. Yeah, but once it goes through that, once it gets into the sign, it's going to ignite all the other planets. All the planets that have just went through the first decan of Aries, which is all Mars energy anyway, will begin to ignite in their full power. Mars will give them that energy boost. And I'm telling you, everyone, things are going to start going really fast, whether we like it or not. To keep to the topic of relationships, Mars will be transiting over Neptune on April the 12th. Your relationships can feel a bit draining or maybe foggy. This transit in general can have you feeling lazy, tired, irritable. Here, we also have an ego diffusion with Neptune. Be careful with your drugs of all kinds on this day. And when it comes to your partners, wipe those rose-colored glasses. People can take advantage of you on this day, especially because you may not be on your Mars game, Might not be on your game that day. Mars will pass and conjunct Saturn, but we will get into that next week. Okay, Today, we will continue with the solar series and now discuss the aspects in synastry when we have the sun and moon in their aspects, our luminaries. First, let's talk a bit about the sun again. Remember last week how I explained the sun is our identity, our ego, our will. The sun is our journey, our pursuits, desires, our integrity. How are we courageously expressing ourselves? I think I repeated myself like 20 times, so listen to episode 5 for all the key terms if I miss. Again, the sun is our core identity, as the moon is our emotions and our bodies. Now, when we astrologers read charts, and all of us do it in our own unique way, but in general, we look at your big 3 first. I tend to really look at Saturn and the ascendant first, but like I said, we all read differently, and the point gets across to you regardless. The moon is just as important as your sun and your rising, and for some of you, your big 3 are all in one sign, and I will be sending you all the chill vibes your way. I'm kidding. I love my triple 3s. I have very close to a couple triple 3s, so yeah. The moon. Well, let's talk about her. I'm not going over the moon phases, as that will take forever, and I'm not talking about the phases, but how the moon works with the sun in synastry is the topic. The moon is the opposite of the sun and is yin, feminine energy. The moon in many forms of motherhood, literally and metaphorically. The moon, which you are born under, symbolizes our experience of being nurtured, whether we were protected, supported, or we were not. Because remember, not everybody has the same upbringing. The moon in our birth charts represents our home as a child, but also the home that we come home to every night as adults. The moon is our past. It's our family. The sun, we say, is the conscious. The moon is our unconscious. What I mean by this, that the moon instills in us these erroneous unconscious assumptions that become our stories, the attitudes we learn from our parents, the instincts, and our psychological patterns that we witnessed as children growing up. All of these could be positive or negative, but most of what makes us as adults is our childhood. When it comes to the moon, we think of emotion a lot because, I did say that's the top keyword. But there are logical moons that are not super emo. Let's say, for instance, Capricorn moons, Virgo moons, Aquarius moons especially. But there is still emotion there. For these signs, the emotion is just shown in a different way. Let's say water moons, especially Scorpios, when you piss them off, you're going to feel it different than with an air moon, like say Aquarius, that will just shut you off or, become really cold and ice. The moon is understood through feelings and emotions. So, how it gets shown is a different story. When you think of someone has, like, let's say an ice heart, there is an emotion hiding there somewhere. Because like I said, everyone has emotions, right? You can think of people don't realize that anger is just a form of an emotion, right? It's the reaction to the emotion. How will the emotion show itself is another question. Look, hurt people. That's our moon. Since the moon is mostly unconscious, there are tons of people running around having absolutely no idea that they are hurting from childhood wounds that they have covered up and now are projecting onto others and most likely to the people that they're close to and their relationships. Speaking of covering up, we should talk about Cancer. The moon rules over Cancer. Symbol of Cancer is a crab, and it wears its shield of armor to protect its most valuable parts. Well, let's dig into that. In relationships, we need to be vulnerable, right? To love and to be loved. And that can be very difficult for people. But when we get hurt and our soft spots get poked, like our heart, we tend to go within and hide from the world to protect our most vulnerable parts of us, which is our hearts. Now, for those of you who are like, girl, listen, I don't get emotional. Well, yes, you do, because everyone has Cancer in their chart, and wherever Cancer is placed is where there will be themes of home and emotions for you and your body. Find your moon to tell you, more about how your moon plays out. But that's Cancer in a crab shell. Get that? Okay, I usually make myself laugh because I say kind of sometimes weird, quirky stuff. So look, for where you have Cancer in your chart and look back and think of family, body, emotions, love, childhood, home. And I promise you will be like, oh, I see it. A ton of our relationship issues are due to the causes of how we grew up. And the moon, of course, poses a lot of that. Like in previous episodes, the sun represents the masculine energy, whereas the opposite, again, like I said, the moon is yin energy and symbolized by women, and the sun is symbolized by male. Either way, I don't think it matters in today's age, right? But in general, for reading chart purposes, we have to decide on masculine or feminine energy. It doesn't matter how you identify yourself. The reader needs to read. We got to read. To make it easy, the moon represents kind of the roles women have to play. Not necessarily women, but the roles women have to play. I will give an example of this yin and yang and how it works in signs, okay? Of like the feminine signs and the more masculine signs. Okay, my moon is in Aries, which is a masculine sign, Aries. And one could ask if my mom is selfish, super ambitious and never has time for family. I'm trying to think. I like to think of the positives of Aries, but she could be quick to temper, she could be impatient. Someone would ask me that about my mother, or they can ask me, was she a warrior? Did she, did she take off and start new things? And was she assertive? And was she aggressive in her pursuits? Not necessarily aggression in her behavior. My mom is the best mom for me. She is not fiery or selfish at all. She is not impatient at all. If anything, she's can't make up her mind on anything. No, she's absolutely, instead of selfish, she's selfless. But damn, is she also a warrior? She beat cancer twice, raised 2 daughters on her own, followed by being a lifetime stepmom for 2 more daughters. In the 70s, she was divorced, independent, and extremely progressive. In turn, she taught me to be very independent. She taught me to be strong and always go after what I want. That is the Aries moon. Now, why I wanted to break that down was because we are 2 females. Okay, so that's how we can use the both yin and yang for all of us. And especially I like to say this for people who have this idea that men have to be this super strong man in order to protect us. I think that is so archaic when it comes down to when we're looking for partnerships. Whether a guy is, let's say, 5'5" to 6 foot, what is the difference how he takes care of you? I used to tell younger girls all the time, I'm like, so you're narrowing down your pool of men if they have to be 6 foot or taller. And you're not going to necessarily, you're ruling that you're making that pool so small. I just think when it comes to relationships and caring for someone, the size of a person shouldn't really matter. But I digress. Okay. I just want to talk about how 2 women can use more masculine energy. Now, I'm going to use another example in my family, how 2 males use the female energy. Okay. My youngest son has a Scorpio moon in an exact conjunction to his stepfather's sun, like 10 minutes apart. My son is very in touch with his emotions. He's, that watery moon that he has. He's also, a Taurus rising. My son has lived more years in his short lifetime with his stepfather than he has with his own mother. Now, listen. I have tried to get this child to move to San Diego, but he just resists. I have no clue why, though. Like, maybe he just doesn't like Mexican food as much as I do. Like, we have such great food here, especially Mexican food. It's delicious. I can eat a taco every day. I'm addicted. But I'm California raised, so, Californians are also raised with the taco in our mouth. Just kidding. But no, we have really good food here. My gosh, I'm digressing a lot today. Anyway, back to it. His stepfather's son and my man-child's son, which is feminine. However, they are both males and represented in more of a female energy. That's that yin and yang again. By the way, the coolest thing is his stepfather's son is in the 5th house of children in Scorpio. But yeah, so there you go. 2 males in more feminine energy, 2 women in masculine energy. So for those of you who, sometimes the elements can get confusing. Okay, back to it. So some key words for the moon as we go, and I am sure I will repeat myself, but here we go. Emotions, our moods, emotional stability or instability, our emotional intelligence or lack thereof, home, family, roots, nostalgia, ancestry, safety, security, nurturance, our bodies, everyday life, our maternal energy, our anima, and last but not least, our intuition. Okay, let's start with the sun conjunct the moon. Probably the best aspect, as I just described the father and son relationship in my family. Here we have the yin and yang energy, the animus and the anima. These are receptive energies. The sun person can have a strong influence in forming unconscious emotional perspectives. For this to, run kind of smoothly, let the sun person be more dominant partner. Now, I'm not talking like, okay, you can go take dominance over your partner. That's not what I mean. But you know what I mean about more. Let one of them be a little bit more in charge. This aspect also works well with boss and employee relationships and romantic relationships. This could be strong sexual attractions. And okay, so when we're also talking about masculine energy, I want to be clear when I'm talking about those two energies, because I know me at 51 did not grow up with all the different identities we have now. I am aware and I'm trying really hard to go into the correct direction in talking about masculine and feminine energies for everyone, because everyone deserves to be who they want to be. So please bear with me. I am trying to get the point across without offending anyone. I love everyone. Okay, back to it. If there is too much dominance from the sun person, however, this can have the moon person not feeling very safe, and there will be problems and possible conflicts. The moon person needs to feel safe. That is going to be something that I'm going to repeat in here. There is a mutual understanding of each other, and this is a great indicator for marriage, friendship, working relationships, and family. Just watch out for the sun person and domination. For fire signs, this energy is boiling hot, passion, and lots of sex. Oh, yeah. There's enthusiasm in the relationship, the merging of the ego and identity with the emotional needs and safety. All the good stuff we want in a relationship. These two are passionate about their pursuits. If this couple is in Sag, they may travel together. In Aries, they can be pioneers and start new businesses or endeavors. Leos may love to sing and dance, and they will be able to express their desires and needs with one another. Earth signs, you two can build a lifetime of accumulation of things and stuff that may make you feel secure and organized and selfless service of each other. You will build relationships that is grounded and secure. You two will value each other. Tauruses, you two will be tied together through your values and security. Capricorns, you two may be very traditional or hard at work and disciplined in your relationships. Virgos, you two may have acts of service as your love language, or there could be perfectionism in the relationship. Letting go of the idea of the perfect relationship will be beneficial for the Virgos, because remember, Virgos, there's no such thing as perfection. None. And everyone, we all have Virgo in our chart. So find where you have Virgo in your chart and see where perfectionism comes. It's the number one thing I find, besides acts of service, is perfection. I just want to make things work well. That's where the perfection part comes in. It's hard. Air signs. These two will communicate well and have lots of friends and will keep the curiosity of each other going. For Geminis, this could be play. When you get bored, you'll find new things to play with. Have spontaneous adventures, or may sit on a porch and read all day together. For Libras, they will want peace and harmony and balance in the relationship. No conflicts. The moon person can be a people pleaser, so the sun person will need to watch out for that dominance. Aquarians, well, they like to beat to their own drums. They may be a little unique themselves as a couple, and they don't care. They may belong to community groups or form groups themselves, or possibly help in humanitarian ways. However, I do want to point out that I do know a lot of Aquarians that are not very humanitarian. And I'm hoping one of these days that the universe is going to spark that in them because they have a beautiful gift when it comes to that. Water signs, this can be extremely nurturing, feelings of being safe and secure, having emotional needs met. However, there can be too much emotion here, and if not checked in with the unconscious, then there can be emotional issues. For Cancers, this can feel like home. They can make you feel seen and heard and loved. Nurturing the relationship will be a priority for you too. I have yet to meet a Cancer moon person to date, but I'm excited if one day I may meet one. Scorpios, you want to go deep into the depths with each other. This could be the person who finally gets you, Scorpio, and can truly see under the many layers of Scorpio. But again, if the Scorpio is unconscious of ego, drives, or power controls, then there can be issues to overcome. And this is for both Sun and Moon Scorpios and Rising Pisces. This can be a dreamy match, one who you can transcend into the abyss with. There will be empathy and support, a great love match. Both might need to come back to reality. And also, there could be some addictive behaviors or deceit with this pair. All right, Sun sextile Moon. Remember I said in the last episode, the sextile is our support system and is great for cooperative and understanding relationships. For boss-employee relationships, this is super supportive match. The Sun person may be more active in the partnership or friendship and in the workplace. And just in general, this is a great combo for family relationships as well. It's pretty easy. Sextile's just a support system. Sun square Moon, 90 degrees angle. Remember we talked about that last time. Okay, and I'm gonna be honest. This is a difficult aspect for partnerships, family, and marriage. Trust. I know this aspect well. I have it just in my chart, but I have it also in my chart with some family members that, I do have. This aspect, let me give you an example. And I'm not going to be using the Sun and the Moon, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to be talking about the aspect of the Sun and the Moon, but sort of when I explain like the hardness of a square. Okay, so I have a natural square, Moon Sun square. And I also have my father's Saturn is conjunct that Sun of mine. And so that hard square from Saturn of my father restricted me from the love and the nurturance and the feeling of being accepted and seen and heard from my father was restricted. So that's the square feeling when it comes in relationships. So basically my father, his Saturn, restricted me from the nurturance and the safety and the security and the feeling that all Cancers need, right? But it was squaring my Moon, which is my safety, my security, and everything that I need to feel safe in myself. Yeah, and it's in Aries. Just so you can understand the square. Okay, the Moon and the Sun can represent both the Yin and the Yang energies when they are together, and this aspect can cause power and ego issues. When the Sun and the Moon meet in that square, the tension can be seen as power and ego drive from the Sun, and in turn, the Moon then may resist and build up resentment. Natal astrology, when looking at the Sun and the Moon, conjunction, opposition, or no aspects can indicate a separation of parents. In industry, this applies as well. Trust this, I was divorced as fast as I got married. Like most aspects in squares, the square causes tension to make us move. If there are other aspects in your chart that indicate a strong relationship, then look at the square to see how you two can ease the tension and make it work for personal growth for both you and the relationship. And I say personal because the Sun and the Moon are the most personal of all the planets. This aspect is difficult for friends, lovers, coworkers, and family. Not going to lie. But remember, the square is attention to get us to make changes. In the end, after you make the changes, you look back and say, wow, I'm so glad I had that square because we really worked through that. It's personal growth is huge. Huge. Sun trine the Moon, 120 degree angle. The lovely trine. Well, I bet after last episode that you guessed that this can be a fairly easy aspect, and you are correct. But there is always a light and dark side. I am sure you've already guessed that the Sun and the Moon in a trine is a great indicator for marriage. Longtime friendships, excellent work relationships, parent-child, sibling, teacher-student, all thrive under this aspect. The ability to talk cohesively with each other is just amazing. And you guys can also talk about different perspectives in a respectful manner. The elements these two fall in will tell you how the energy will play out. Trines in fire, you two will inspire each other's passion and drives. There'll be passionate sex, and each of you can drive each other to accomplish your goals. Trines in earth, you two will ground each other, have lots of things, value what you accumulated, and you can build a solid lifetime together. Air signs can chat all day and constantly mental stimulation. These two can be speakers at community talks or possibly teach together. Water signs can help each other with emotional regulation. If this is family, you two love family traditions and have open emotional channel that is safe and secure and, quite nurturing. All right, last but not least, the sun oppose the moon. Well, if you listen to the episode 3 and 4, you will come to no surprise. This can be the marital indicator. The sun partner can bring dynamic influence into the relationship, whereas the moon person brings in receptivity between the two of you. These aspects can bring intense emotional issues within families in regards to home and money. The sun person can be too domineering. If you are the sun person, try and see if you can tame it down a bit. Allow the moon person to not feel so overpowered in your presence. The moon person can retreat. And remember that crab in the shell I talked about earlier? They can shut down if overwhelmed, especially if they are not super emo moons. Person really getting hit hard that's not a super emo moon, it's hard for them, especially air sign moons, because they start going into the head too much. If something has happened in your relationship and there is work to be done, the moon individual should try to let go of the past so both of you can move on. The moon rules Cancer, and Cancers have memories like elephants and can hold on to things that are no longer serving them. Trust, I did this for so many years. Best thing a Cancer can actually do is purge and let go of a lot of that repressed nostalgia memories, especially if the relationship was not good. Because we could do that even when the relationship's not good. Yeah, Cancers. All right, ruminate. Ruminate is a Cancer theme. Rumination, yes. Okay, that is it for today. Next week, I will hit on the Sun and Mercury aspects, which are super important because communication is key to all relationships. Listen, you can have the best sex in the world, and if you two do not get along, it is still not going to work because there is 8 billion people in the world. There is a lot of fish in that sea. Yeah, it won't last that long. As I mentioned in the very first episode in the intro about myself, I am the president of San Diego Astrological Society, and we are having our monthly event this Friday, the 10th, and with the lovely Anjani Segrist will be speaking. And the topic is, which I find it awesome for this podcast, the alchemy of intimacy. Anjani is an amazing astrologer and speaker. If you are in the San Diego area, please come and check us out. And if you are not in the San Diego area, doesn't matter because we're online. Woo! We have gone online a few months ago and it is taking off like crazy. Anyone in the world can attend now, and we would love for you to join. You can purchase your tickets for Zoom on our website in the show notes under San Diego Astrological Society, and I hope to see you there. It will be it is in San Diego, so it is Pacific time, and it'll be from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, but you can also purchase a ticket, get the recording like in 24 hours. Also, please write in listener questions if you have an aspect with someone you know and you want a little bit more clarity in your relationship. I do natal readings and all kinds of readings, and you can find my website in the show notes as well. And please follow the show, and I will talk with you next week. Bye.